Imagine a tower that challenged the very heavens and an event that forever changed the fate of humanity. We are about to uncover the secrets behind the grand, yet tragic Tower of Babel. Why did the ancient Babylonians decide to build this colossal tower? How did God respond to this challenge? And what profound lessons can we draw from this story? Stay with us as this journey promises to reveal the extraordinary power of biblical narratives. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. The story of the Tower of Babel is found in the book of Genesis in the Old Testament, specifically in verses 1 to 9 of chapter 11. This narrative takes place after the flood, when humanity began to multiply and spread across the earth. Although the Bible mentions the Tower of Babel, its exact location is uncertain. Several theories and hypotheses suggest it could have been located in Mesopotamia, ancient Babylon, or another region. In the beginning, all the inhabitants of the earth spoke the same language and had a common, ambitious goal. They decided to build a city with a tower that reached the heavens. This tower, known as the Tower of Babel, was seen as a symbol of human power and achievement. Their primary motivation was clear. They wanted to demonstrate power, authority, and also avoid being scattered across the face of the earth. Given the biblical context which takes place after Noah's flood, it is possible that the builders of the Tower of Babel also had a persistent fear of another flood. They might have believed that building a tall tower reaching the heavens was a way to protect themselves against the return of a catastrophic flood. This motivation was tied to the preservation of life and the survival of the community in an environment where the flooding of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers was a real threat. However, the desire for protection against a new flood demonstrated a lack of faith in God, as after the floods, the Lord God made it clear that never again would any form of life be destroyed by the waters of a flood. Never again will there be a flood to destroy the earth. Genesis 9:11. Another theory suggests that the Tower of Babel might have also been built as a defensive military structure. In ancient Mesopotamia, city-states often faced the threat of invasions by neighboring peoples or so-called pagan tribes. The construction of a tall tower could have served as a strategic observation post to detect approaching enemies and as a fortress to protect against attacks. Thus, the tower would have had both a practical and symbolic function, representing the city's defense against external threats. However, the builders of the tower believed they could reach the heavens through their own abilities and efforts, thereby defying the authority and will of God. This symbolized human rebellion against the Creator. It is important to note that in Genesis 9, God blessed Noah and his sons, saying, "Be fruitful and increase in number and fill the earth." God had commanded humanity to spread across the earth after the flood, but the builders of the tower disobeyed this order. Their disobedience represented disbelief and a lack of submission to the divine will, preferring to follow their own path rather than divine guidance. Led by a man named Nimrod, whose charisma and power of persuasion were immense, the builders had grand ambitions. This ambition led to the desire to build a tower ever higher, eventually reaching the heavens. Nimrod, a descendant of Noah, is mentioned in the Bible as a notable and powerful king on earth. According to Jewish interpretations, Nimrod was responsible for commissioning the construction of the Tower of Babel, a tyrant who sought to turn people away from worshiping God. In this context, the idea of building the tower arose as an attempt to challenge God. It is important to observe that Babel was the capital of the rich and powerful Babylon, where the construction of pyramid-shaped temples was a common practice among the Babylonians, Sumerians, and Assyrians. Another notable name associated with the construction of the Tower of Babel is Nebuchadnezzar II, one of the most prominent emperors of antiquity. He ruled Babylon with great power, and his achievements include numerous conquests and significant conflicts. According to historical records, Nebuchadnezzar II oversaw the reconstruction of the Tower of Babel. The original construction is said to have started around 580 BC, after Nebuchadnezzar II conquered Jerusalem, sacked the city, and took the most skilled and intellectually capable inhabitants to Babylon. These war prisoners were Jews who were forced to work under the king's command, and they provided the description of the Tower of Babel recorded in the Bible. These events and historical figures are essential to our understanding of the construction and reconstruction of the Tower of Babel, providing a broader context for this significant biblical narrative. Considering the historical and architectural context of ancient Mesopotamia, where the story of the Tower of Babel is often associated, It is possible that the original structure was a ziggurat. Ziggurats were stepped temple towers with stairs or ramps leading to a sanctuary at the top. They were common in the region and served as places of religious worship. The building materials were likely sun-dried mud bricks, which were widely used in Mesopotamia. These bricks were made of clay and straw, and when stacked and dried, they formed durable structures. They would start with a massive base, and as the tower rose, they would add layers of bricks and earth to create the step platforms characteristic of a ziggurat. Although the Bible does not provide a specific height for the Tower of Babel, it is often depicted in illustrations and religious art as a very tall structure reaching close to the heavens. However, God, disappointed with what was happening, decided to intervene in the construction. He would not allow humanity to follow its own path, defying his authority, especially by disobeying his instructions. So God, in a divine act, decided to confuse the languages of all the builders of the tower. Suddenly, each builder began to speak and understand a different language, making communication between them impossible. Initially, this act caused enormous confusion, ruining the continuation of the project and the plans to build a tower that reached the heavens. After the confusion of languages, chaos ensued in that city. The inability to coexist in a society with various groups of people speaking different languages made communication and coexistence impossible, leading to the dispersion of humanity into different groups and regions. The name Babel is derived from the Hebrew word Babel, which means confusion. This is a direct reference to the confusion of languages that occurred in the story. This dispersion of the population into different regions fulfilled God's original will for humanity to spread across the earth after the flood so that it would be fully populated. Each linguistic group gave rise to its own culture, nation, and identity. The story of the Tower of Babel is often related to the emergence of Semitic languages such as Hebrew and Aramaic. This has profound implications for the history of language. Additionally, the diversification of human languages resulting from the Tower of Babel changed the history and culture of humanity, demonstrating how biblical events have profoundly influenced the world over the centuries. This story also highlights the need to seek God's will in our lives and recognize that our existence depends on Him. In summary, the narrative of the Tower of Babel is more than just an ancient story. It is a parable about the consequences of disobedience, the danger of pride, and the importance of recognizing God's sovereignty in our lives. If you've made it this far, I understand you must have enjoyed the content. Therefore, I ask that you subscribe to the channel and leave in the comments what topic you would like to see in the next video. Best wishes and God bless.